Welcome to another week of the Nightly Nuge. And Ted, I love the shirt.
Well, you know, I'm a defiant guy. I'm what the founding fathers wanted all Americans to be. Welcome back to the Nightly Nuge, everybody. My blood brother for truth, logic, and common sense, Keith, Mark, and I are on fire, just like the founding fathers wanted, to be suspicious of all authority, especially the abuse and the abuse of power by people in authority that don't deserve to be there. So right now, as we push back against this evil, satanic government in the United States of America, which, by the way, Keith, I hear from people all around the world that are just hanging their heads going, what the hell did you Americans let happen to the only freedom lifestyle in the history of mankind? And so I think one of the most offensive, vile, evil movements is where the North American Man-Boy Love Association is trying to legalize dirty old men to have sex with young boys. Look it up. That's what the drag queen thing is about. That's what the LGBTQ gonzo numbnut thing is all about.
And I'm going to get into all that with you. I want to hear about the shirt. Where do I get
this shirt? This shirt is pushing back against that. This shirt says the gay child abuse flag isn't my flag. This is my flag that I'm proud of. This is my pride flag. And people have talked to me about it. So we have these available at tednugent.com now. And if you really want to give the finger to Satan, let him know that this is your pride flag, the original We the People experiment in self-government. Go to tednugent.com and raise your middle finger on fire against the Satan cult running our country.
I love it. You know, I am going to tednugent.com right after this because I'm going to wear that shirt. And in fact, every date on the tour that I appear at, Ted, I'm wearing that shirt. Okay, last week was really kind of an interesting week for our listeners and eye-opening for me as well, because we didn't take our traditional this happened this week and Ted's take on it. We just kind of did an overview of a whole bunch of topics. I kind of want to go back through those topics and just pull an event, you know, from the current event pages right now. But before we do any of that, I am trying to figure out what in the world is going on in Russia. Are these real protests? Is this orchestrated? I mean, does this have anything to do with these new revelations that's going on with Biden and Hunter Biden, and they're trying to hide the ball? So, Ted, listen, without any real background, tell our listeners what you think is going on in Russia. And you might want to give, for those that aren't even familiar with this topic, just a little bit of a background of what in the world is going on over there.
Well, with all due respect, Keith, because we are a truth, logic, and common sense middle finger, we the people celebration, there are so many issues right here at home, but we need to know what's going on over there because our evil, oath-violating criminal government is in cahoots with all those other evil governments in China and in Russia. And right now, the Wagner Group, which is a bunch of hired killers that used to be on Putin's side, and we could go into the gory details of how Putin is invading, Ukraine with a president that plays piano with his dick. You know, if I was Putin, I would probably invade the country next door with a president who plays piano with his dick if he's got a bunch of biochemical plants on my border. Look it up. That's what's going on. But anyhow, the Wagner Group, who was working with Putin, has decided to go against Putin and actually march towards Moscow. Are you amazed, Keith, that I know about this stuff? Anyhow, as they're marching towards Moscow, these commando hired killers by Putin have now threatened Putin with a genuine insurrection, because you can't have an insurrection without guns. January 6th, not an insurrection. You can't have an insurrection with guys dressed up like mountain goats waving an American flag. That's not an insurrection. That is we the people standing up with our First Amendment rights. But anyhow, what's going on in Russia? The Wagner Group turned against Putin, but then Putin said if he just can move next door, or if they would just go next door, Bulgaria or whatever it is, who gives a damn? I'm worried about Iowa, that he would exonerate their attempted insurrection. It is a royal, unabashed, out of control clusterfuck, just like the United States of America.
Do you think that the U.S., and I only ask this, Ted, because we see what the U.S. did in Libya. We see what the U.S. did in Iraq. We have seen what the U.S. Intelligence agencies have done to overthrow governments in the past. We recently saw the allegation that the U.S. government attempted an assassination of Putin. I don't know, Ted. Are we?
Keith, I think you do know, and I appreciate you opening in the rhetorical question for me to pontificate upon. Surely, if there is nefarious, here's a recommendation from the guitar player on a tangent. Check out the movie Nefarious. Make your children watch the movie Nefarious. Everybody should watch the movie Nefarious and keep notes, because that's what happened when you open up your heart to indecency and Satan moves in, which is what has happened to the U.S. government. My point being is there is anything going on nefariously around the world, like the destruction of the European natural gas pipeline. If there is some nefarious activity going on, I hang my head in shame and embarrassment that our devious, evil, anti-American, anti-freedom, anti-human Uncle Sam is involved. What a tragedy. I did the Donald Trump rally in Novi, Michigan last night to thousands of real patriots, real Republicans, real conservatives, with the greatest president of all time, which is why they called the most defiant, hell-raising guitar player of all time. And it was a microcosm, Keith, of how we, the people, have to wake up and know what's going on around the world, because our Uncle Sam is now the evil doer. And we have to reverse it by voting for Donald J. Trump now more than ever.
And Ted, before I let you go, I'm sure you saw at the rally where the Proud Boys ran into that group of neo-Nazis that always wear the khaki pants and the mask and the sunglasses so you can't get their identity. And it's been speculated, maybe they're this, maybe they're that, but a couple of them got unmasked, Ted. What's your take on those khaki pant mask wearing young folks?
You know, there's always been the Ku Klux Klan, and there was the Occupy Wall Street, and there was the underground Democrat Party, and there's the Black Lives Matter terrorists. There's MS-13. There's the CIA, the IRS, the FBI. You know, I'm naming all the dangerous terrorist organizations in the world.
Patriot Front.
Bottom line is, we need to be, my dogs are getting upset. Sadie, you be a good girl. Look at this beautiful girl right here. That's how I keep an equilibrium in my life, because Sadie keeps me in line. My point being is that we, the people, now more than ever, I touched on it. In fact, I touch on it all the time. We need to be suspicious of all authority, all groups, all claimed counter groups. For example, let's synopsize it. Black Lives Matter does not care about Black lives. Antifa is actually the fascist organization. The FBI isn't a law enforcement agency now. Now it's the strong arm of the Democrat Communist Party. That same thing with this new organization, the khaki mask wearing sunglass boys. These guys, you can't trust any of them. Remember, the biggest threat to America, if I can quote John F. Kennedy, and if I can quote Eisenhower, the biggest threat to America is the central intelligence agencies and the various intelligence agencies and the deep state that is a manifestation of the military industrial congressional complex. My God, that should be a curriculum from preschool all the way to law school graduating class. We are totally unaware of the nefarious criminal gangster organizations within the United States of America. And I'm afraid I don't trust any of them, even the ones that come out and say that they're good guys. You know, one that I do trust because the term, their name actually is accurate. The Oath Keepers. And why were the Oath Keepers arrested and demonized? Because they keep their oaths, and they were attacked by people in charge that don't keep their oaths. My name's Ted Nugent. I'm an Oath Keeper.
The Patriot Front, tell our listeners who you think they really are.
All right, the khaki sunglass mask boys are known as the Patriot Front. And they claim to be monitoring good over evil. They claim to be keeping an eye on the government, but I don't believe that. Some of them have been unmasked recently, and they've been brainwashed into following the steps of the CIA and the FBI and the IRS and all these other toxic bureaucracies that are not out for the good for America. They're greedy, selfish, tyrannically driven insurrectionists working against America. That's the way I see it. The only people I trust are my inner circle of world-class, working hard, playing hard shit kickers that strive to be in the asset column, doing good over evil and supporting the foundational values. That's why I always promote hunternation.org. The only ones you can trust are those of us that go to hunternation.org. I'm telling you, that's a wild ass statement, but think about it. Either you fight for conservative values or you bend over for the Joe Biden Satan Club.
Powerful, Ted. Well, tomorrow, I want to talk about education. I want to talk about some specifics with regard to education to follow up on your overarching comments last week. Boy, this is going to be a doozy. You'll want to hear what Jerry Nadler had to say about Drag Queen Hour at the library. Tomorrow night, Ted.